Move on to our third topic of the day, which is another Malapert Smark Award. This one is Match of the Year. All right. So same rules, same voters. Each voter chooses their top 5, and I hand out points. First place gets 5 points, and down to 5th place, 1 point, and we add up all the points at the end. So, all right, I'm going to list through the candidates. I'm going to run through the candidates, and then if you guys really want to interject or jump in, go ahead, but I'll give you plenty of time to talk when I reveal your top 5 and the winner. So, candidates, number 1, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. All right, so this was like when I was making this thumbnail, when we were reviewing this is our thumbnail from our YouTube video. It was like so much going on. The Rock came in, Undertaker came in, which was like, what the fuck? Even John Cena was another what the fuck. Like, no one was expecting that. Cody finishes his story. Seth Rollins came in with the Shield, stuff, Shield attire. It was chaos. It was great. It was everything that, wrestling should be. You know what I mean? But okay, I'm going to move on. I got 9 more. So second one is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre at Hell in a Cell. So these guys already have an award. They won Feud of the Year, the Malapert Smark Feud of the Year. Last week we gave them, so they could get a second award right now. We'll see. Next one, another one from WrestleMania, from the same night of Cody versus Roman. I got Gunther versus Sami Zayn. This was the end of Gunther's Intercontinental title run. So great match, great, solid match that Sami Zayn ended up coming out on top, and Gunther ended up going on to bigger and better things, the World Heavyweight Championship after that. Next one, at AEW's version of WrestleMania is All In, and the main event here was career versus title, where Bryan Danielson put his career on the line. He said, "I'll never wrestle again." And some people thought he was still going to lose. I was for sure he was going to win at that point, because I was like, man, he's got to wrestle at least through the year, you know what I mean? So, but still, people were on the edge of their seats, not really knowing exactly what was going to happen, and Bryan Danielson came out victorious, won the title, and had a little run after that. So it was a good match. I'll give my comments on it maybe a little later, but MJF versus Will Ospreay. All right, so an MJF match shows up on the top 10. So we were debating whether MJF even deserves to be in the top 10 wrestler list, but here he is in the top 10 matches list. This match went 1 hour, basically, right? I think MJF won at like 59 minutes and 58 seconds or something. This was like basically a 1 hour match, and MJF won the international title, and then he had to get oxygen treatment after the match, right? So,
yeah, that's one of his go-tos.
Yeah, yes. So the next one we have is Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. So this was the storyline that set up the whole thing about the Tiger Driver being too devastating a move for people to use, because Bryan Danielson sold it like he was going to die after the match, and, hospital and the doctors had to come out, and he was shaking and convulsing. I don't know. I don't really like that when they're trying to get the people to tug on the people's heartstrings when they're not really hurt, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I thought it was kind of in poor taste. That was my opinion at the time. It was still a good match, though. Bryan Danielson and Ospreay, that's a fantastic match. A women's match. It was kind of hard for me to find a lot of women's matches this year that really were solid. But this was the best one I could come up with. Bayley versus Io Sky at WrestleMania. Really nothing bad I could say about this. Prototypical match. This would have been like my kind of similar to our next one. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. Like just a solidly worked match. You know what I mean? Like a prototypical, this is what wrestling is. You know what I mean? Nothing fake or phony looking. And they just worked the match well. And I'm going to throw one in from NXT. So more women. This was the Women's Iron Survivor match, Robert. Me and you watched this. I don't think Vlad did. So this included Stephanie Vaquer and Julia in the same match.
Well,
along with
number one, I don't know them. when it has names like that.
Yeah, exactly. And the newcomer Zarya, the new superstar they got, and then Ren Sinclair and Sol Ruca Vlad, this was a good match. Robert, do you agree with this ending up on the top 10? Right?
I'm not saying it wasn't. I can't say it wasn't.
Of all women's matches this year. Okay. And then my last one, the last one that made our list, is another NXT match. This is for me. This is basically
I like this too. So
okay, all right. So
I'm not gonna hate on this being.
Robert does not gonna hate on this, but Ridge Holland against Andre Chase. This was the end of Chase University. It was very emotional. There was a lot on the line. This was like the NXT version of Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns.
Oh my God! Okay, I got nothing more to say to that.
With all the run-ins and all that was on the line, and Chase you.
When you say it that way, okay, all right. I thought you meant like the build-up wise, like
or maybe the importance of it.
The importance of it, yeah.
It's freaking Andre Chase. What are you talking about, bro?
Dude, look at
he made a top 10 list. Oh my God! Okay.
You don't knock it till you watch it, man. But anyway,
all right.
So honorable mentions for matches. These were not available to be voted on, but I'm just mentioning them. So this was last Wednesday on Christmas. Darby Allin defeating Will Ospreay on Dynamite, which Vlad says was a stupid match, but I kind of liked it. I mean, I think Darby Allin is the only character that makes sense when he just takes a lot of punishment and doesn't die, because he does it in real life. He'll just go like jump off a mountain and then get up and continue walking. You know what I mean? So whatever. My next honorable mention is the Sting retirement match. Sting and Darby Allin versus Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson at AEW Revolution. And then another one, honorable mention, is War Games. The Bloodline versus the OG Bloodline. The OG Bloodline versus the real Bloodline. So I didn't make that available to be voted on. Wait, it was the OG Bloodline and CM Punk. I forgot to mention that. So okay, I guess.
And the Bloodline. I guess you could also add Bronson Reed
and Bronson Reed. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think there's an actual member of the Bloodline.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to start with myself first, just because that's what I listed first. So my top 5 matches of the year, Kahan, the Malapert Smark. My number 1 is Cody versus Roman. That was just magical. Okay. All the run-ins were great.
Yeah.
My number 2 is MJF versus Will Ospreay for their hour-long match. I mean, usually MJF can help these guys who don't have sensical matches have sensical matches. You know what I mean?
This was that.
And then my third one is the Hell in a Cell, CM Punk.
Like, how could that not be at least second, bro? That I don't understand. That was one of the best things I've ever seen. It's
true. I mean, the bump Drew McIntyre took at the end, and the whole beads thing.
Oh,
I mean,
God, yeah.
We were mentioning earlier, I did mention that I thought McIntyre carried Punk a little bit. I do kind of think that, because, man, Punk is paper thin. We're just, like, hoping he doesn't get injured in these matches. You know what I mean?
That's true. But
Drew
I think
took that ridiculous bump on his back on the steel steps, like the fucking... Anyways, my number 4 is based on my enjoyment of it. Was Ridge Holland versus Andre Chase. 2 points. My God. 2 points, all right. And then number 5 is the women's Iron Survivor match gets 1 point. Okay, so let me see if I have any extra comments, whatever I thought of earlier today. I thought about putting Cody versus AJ as my number 5, but the Iron Survivor match was pretty solid all around. Although Cody and AJ was a prototype wrestling match, I enjoyed the women's Iron Survivor match a little better. Okay, so there you go.
That one I don't have.
There's my top 5. Okay, I'm going to move on to Vlad's. Vlad's top 5 wrestling matches of the year. So we had the same number 1. So Cody versus Roman Reigns at number 1. All right. Number 2, which was my number 3. Oh, so our number 2 and 3s got flipped.
Yeah.
Shit. So you have CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre as your number 2, and MJF versus Ospreay as your number 3. Gunther versus Sami Zayn from WrestleMania 40 at your number 4. Okay, I can't argue with that. Very, very solid, well-worked match. And then Cody versus AJ from Backlash, the first one. This was before AJ's heel turn.
Before his retirement.
Yeah,
his retirement.
yes.
Yes.
So that gives Cody and AJ 1 point. All right. So do you want to make comments before I move on to Robert?
Yeah, I'll be quick. So Cody versus Roman. I mean, we've already discussed this feud and everything that went into the match. I mean, it was amazing. As you said, it was magical. With Cody coming out on top, but all the interferences, The Rock, Cena being there, then The Undertaker. I mean, it was a magical time. When you think of wrestling, like what I love about wrestling, that's that, right? That whole situation that unfolded at the main event there. Punk and Drew was just the most violent, tremendous, old school match that I've seen in a long time. Like they did Hell in a Cell perfectly. Like that was a perfect match. It was. I was debating like between Cody and Roman and Punk and Drew, but I felt Cody and Roman was a little bit more important, but both were tremendous. They're in different ways completely. MJF and Ospreay, I think it's what you said, Jan, like when MJF can, like when Ospreay can work with someone like MJF, like some of his, I guess, tendencies to do like the video game stuff and kick out of everything and pop up after getting pile driven or whatever, or kick out at one after just getting his ass kicked. All that stuff really didn't happen in this match. Not that I recall. I mean, it's been a little while, but I remember thinking as the match was happening, this was tremendous, you know. So, and obviously they went basically. It was an Iron Man match on their TV, you know, Dynamite. Great stuff. That's what makes me think MJF can turn 2024 around a match like that. He just has to have the right program and work with the right people. Gunther versus Sammy. You know, I've already praised Gunther, but Sami Zayn, a tremendous worker, man. Just the way he sells specifically, like he is perfect. He's a perfect wrestler. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest look. You know, he just looks like an ordinary guy. You know, he looks like an ordinary guy that you probably could be working at some office somewhere, maybe. But his wrestling ability and the way he sells is tremendous. Love Sammy. And then Cody versus AJ, it just reminded me of like some amazing early '90s Bret Hart match with Owen Hart or something like that. You know, just a classic wrestling match. Two amazing workers just killing it, you know. AJ Styles, I think, is this like our era is like maybe Shawn Michaels, or this era is Shawn Michaels in the sense of like he's considered one of the best in-ring workers of all time. And Cody is really great in the ring too. I mean, tremendous. So this was a great match. I know there wasn't a lot. The reason that it's so low, you know, as far as not being any higher, is just there wasn't a lot into the feud, but the match itself was tremendous. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right. Let's move on to Robert's top 5 wrestling matches, pro wrestling matches of the year. We don't count the amateur stuff.
We don't see the amateur stuff.
Then Robert had MJF versus Will Ospreay as his number 1, which you can't really argue too much, Vlad, because I can't believe a Will Ospreay match ended up on your top 5 list. That to me is amazing.
Okay.
But hey, we'll get his opinions in a second. Let me just read through it. And then Will Ospreay. So a second was number 1 and 2, Will Ospreay against Danielson. So this was at AEW Dynasty early in the year. And then he comes to Cody versus Roman. So that was our number 1. So it was number 3 for Robert. Hell in a Cell, Drew versus Punk, and then Cody versus AJ, number 5. All right, Robert. Do you want to clarify anything? Any thoughts you want to give about all this before I give the results of who wins match of the year?
All right. So I clearly don't mind what you guys call video game stuff, but hey, you know, but I don't want to I don't
say
want
anything.
but I don't want to like overstate that as if like that's what I'm really looking for in a match. Okay, I just want to clarify. I'm gonna bring up 2 matches not from this year as a point of reference. Okay. Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle from, I think, WrestleMania 20 or whatever I want to say, and Bret Hart versus Stone Cold from WrestleMania 13. Those are 2 If I were to come up with a list of my top 10 all-time favorite matches, those two would be on it. My number one match of this year wouldn't be. All right, so it's not like I'm only that's all I'm looking for in a match is like all video game acrobatic stuff. But it just so happens for 2024, the two Will Ospreay matches on here were my two favorite of the year.
That's fair.
But I enjoy grounded wrestling, more realistic wrestling matches too. It just so happens for this year, these two are my favorite. Now regarding MJF versus Will Ospreay, I always expect Will Ospreay to be great, but MJF really, I can't praise him enough because he seems to be able to adapt to any style, adapt to any opponent, and still make it really good. It's just he's just that good. He's that talented. Like he can make any match against any opponent really good, and this is a prime example of it. Um, and Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. I do agree with you, Ken. I wasn't a fan of that one part where it was looked like Bryan Danielson was looked like he was having a seizure or whatever. Like, I didn't like that much, but outside of that, I still loved it. Cody versus Roman. I love that too. It just all right. So it felt like an inevitability that at least for me, it felt inevitable that Cody was going to win the match. But despite that, they made it the best they could possibly be for that angle, and it was incredible. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. I mean, you guys pretty much talked about it earlier. This was the blow off match for their feud, and I loved every minute of it. And then Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles could have been higher on my list if there was a better build up to it. Maybe I don't know. It's just there wasn't that much interest in it because the build up. Well, there was
the second match had a build up, but it wasn't
the second.
as good.
Yeah, the second match had build up, but I don't think it was as good as the first match. So yeah, so I don't know. If there was some more build up to the first one, it maybe would have been higher. But it was fantastic either way.
All right. Well, the votes are in, so let's see who wins. All right. The winner. Well, let's start with the total. So I'll go up the list from here. Hold on. Let me take off these social media things at the bottom. Everyone knows what our social media is. It's at Malapert_Smark. It's bothering me. Okay, I don't want it blocking our lists. So number 8, the women's Iron Survivor match got 1 point from me. Tied for number 5, I got 3 matches. All right, Ridge Holland and Andre Chase, Gunther and Sami Zayn, and Cody and AJ Styles all get 2 points. All right. Tied for just number 4. In sole possession of number 4 is Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. 4 points. Number 3, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, so it didn't win. All right, our feud of the year didn't win match of the year, but it got 9 points. And then number 2 with 12 hefty points, MJF versus Will Ospreay, so it doesn't win match of the year. But no surprise here, the match of the year is Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania with 13 points. I mean, when I saw it, I pretty much knew that I don't think anything is going to beat this. This is going to be the match of the year. I knew it at the time that there was no way anything was going to top this. So there's our winner. There's our trophy. Cody and Roman, they can share this. All right, there's their name down there.
Boy,
I'm thrilled to hear this.
Another reason, and now you want to start up another. You want to start up another food.
No, they're cool now.
Yeah, but once they have to share this,
they
Roman's
team up
be again like, hey, you already told them he's in his way in life, so now they have to share this amazing trophy.
That's true. He is in his way. Fuck. All right, we got to move on. So let me run through the final 2 awards and talk about World's End real quick, and we can get out of here.
I just have to say that Okada's being in the back, like right underneath Robert, is one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. He's so distracting. I expect him to like start talking.
He's gonna give you a middle finger, bro.
He's gonna give everyone a middle finger. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Well, that's because you keep saying the Continental Championship is irrelevant. Dude, I don't think it's irrelevant. I think it's fantastic, man. The only championship where there's no interference
I'm not gonna even
and
say
nobody is allowed to be in the ring, around the ring. It's like the cleanest championship. I don't know. I like it. I think it's cool, but we'll talk more about that later when we talk about the Continental Classic.